Alright, so I'm just throwing all this out here. Alright, nuclear and electric, nearly all mass of an atom. Alright, so this induces gravity. This is your nucleus. Okay, let's just say this is a carbon atom. Alright, this is the nucleus. So this is going to induce the gravity. Here's the electrons. This is going to induce electromagnetism. Alright, so our gravity comes from nuclei, to be quite honest. Gravity comes from nuclei, and the electromagnetic field obviously comes from the eggshell. Okay? That's literally the alpha, beta, omega. Mass of a carbon atom is 6 times 2. So electromagnetism is not going to exist until you have unification of electrons, until they're in synchronicity. Until then, you only have electrostatic. Okay? You only have an electrostatic. So electromagnetism does not form until you have electron uniformity. Alright, just throwing this out here. Okay. Bose-Einstein condensate. Cold. Helium-4. Okay. Alpha particles. These will fuse into beryllium and fuse another one, which will be carbon. These will split from carbon into hydrogen, helium, and lithium. And then you have cold. So it goes cold, hot, warm, cold again. And turns back into what? Bose-Einstein condensate. So it's cold, then it gets hot, quark-gluon plasma. You have a reverse triple alpha process where it breaks down into hydrogen, helium, and lithium and disperses the universe, and eventually the universe will burn out and reduce back to carbon and Bose-Einstein condensate until it turns into a quark-gluon plasma again. And what I figure how long this universe will last until it actually burns out to nothing and just is ashes is 2.571 quadrillion years. So everything wants to go to ground state, but there's no ground in space, so it can't. So when it reaches near absolute zero energy output, it has no place else to go but to have to reset. Because there's no ground in space, and that's what it's trying to do, ground out. So it just has to reset. Now, I didn't need any simple physics or equations to solve that. All I did was use common sense. You see what I'm saying? S, suffix, ECE. Process of doing something particular quality. It's a noun. Coalesce. Coal is carbon. Coalesce, beginning to be, becoming. Carbon, beginning, combined, come together, forming a mass. Coalescent. Singularity. Basically, the ashes in carbon and the energy in space form the singularity. So the universe itself is a carbon-based life form. It's a macrocosmic carbon-based life form. The beginning to be, will, potential, what will become. Just because we say things every day doesn't mean we know exactly what they mean. Words have knowledge in them, not just understanding. You can learn from them new information that's technically not realized. There's power in words. Coal, hydrogen, sulfur, oxygen, nitrogen. Okay? That's exactly what we are made of. Human body has 6 elements. Lo and behold, 6. Carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, calcium, phosphorus. 6 breaks down into 1, 2, 3. 3, 6, 9 equals 18. 18 is 6 3 times, which is carbon. Protons, neutrons, and electrons of carbon. Oxidation can reduce with heat treatment with hydrogen flow. This is the key to reduce aging. Just throwing that out there. Okay? The quark-gluon plasma is diamond-like. It's more or less like a diamond in the sky. It's nucleonic, hardest known natural element. And then here's the Higgs field, the diatomic cube that I was talking about. The Y and X axis. Okay? This is 8. Alright? This is the Higgs field. There's 8 lobes of the human brain, which is a Higgs field, which contains our mind. or basically the universe, more or less, in our heads. Okay. The crystalline structure of diamond has 18 atoms, which is again 666. 8 atoms per unit cell. 8 atoms per unit cell. Okay. 18 times 8 is 144. The 144,000 that will be spared. 12 times 12 is also 144. Just throwing that out there. Okay. Father, alpha, mother, beta, omega, growth. So alpha, beta, omega. You got your alpha nuclear energy, and you got your electrons and protons, and the growth. The spark of life ignites in atmosphere of pure oxygen, 690 degrees Celsius, 1274 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, reactive with fluorine, 700 degrees Celsius, 1292 Fahrenheit. This is what keeps us burning, alive, carbon, volatility in oxygen. We are carbon-based life forms, all right? We breathe oxygen. This volatile reaction between carbon and oxygen is what keeps us alive. It allows energy to be processed because they're so volatile with each other. And that's what literally keeps us alive. See, CO2, if we were breathing CO2, the carbon wouldn't have much of a volatile reaction because the carbon itself, the CO2 you're breathing is carbon. So it would like it more or less than hate it. And it would accept it rather than push it away. So this acceptance would kill you, technically, instead of having a pushing away or a volatile reaction that essentially keeps you alive. I'm just throwing that out there. Okay, the shape, euhedral, octahedron, cubic, dodecahedrons, hexahedrons, average, that we know that, okay? Can emit the full light spectrum. The full light spectrum. Now get this. Carbon dissolves in fat and is hydrophobic. When heated to 98.6 degrees, hydrophilic. This is why we have to eat. All right? So the fat in our bodies wants to break down the carbon in our bodies. Basically wants to break down. And we have to keep eating so it doesn't break down. Okay? Now when it's heated at 98.6 degrees, it has a tendency to mix with it or dissolve in it. Or be wetted by the water. So it seems ironic that 98.6 degrees is our temperature. And carbon reacts with the water in our bodies at 98.6 degrees. It just seems kind of weird, don't you think? I mean, I'm just throwing it out there. Just throwing it out there. Because diamonds, carbon, there's a lot of special things about them that correlate with us specifically. That we're not even looking at. And it should be examined very closely. Because it reveals a lot of things to us. People want the fountain of youth. They're going to have to understand carbon. All right. Neurological alpha motor functions. They function, your brain essentially runs at about 268 miles per hour. 2 times 6 times 8 is 96. Okay? 96 times 268 is Earth's circumference. Throwing this out there on top of that. You have 12 cranial nerves. You have 8 lobes. 12 times 8 is 96. Again. Okay? That's how many petals are in the crown chakra. So this is the Higgs field, or the area of the brain, or the area where things are going to happen. This is the unified field. It operates, the planet has a unified field, space has a unified field, and our brain has a unified field. And all of them create the functions for life. Now just throwing this out there. Your third eye chakra, there's 2 petals. That's basically your pituitary gland and your pineal gland. 16 cervical nerves here, your throat chakra, the bilateral cervical nerves. Then you have your lateral nerve roots, your heart chakra, 12 lateral, 12 cranial, thoracic ganglia. So it seems kind of odd that 6 and 12 play a big role in a lot of things. 8 and 10 show up a lot too. I'm just throwing this out here. Alpha, beta, omega again. Neutron decays into a proton electron. Emits a neutron, or photon. Transitions into light. Okay? Birth of the universe does the same thing. It transitions into light. Imagine you have your singularity. It expands, grows into a living universe, burns out, collapses, and the whole thing happens again. A quantum zygote. It's literally a carbon-based life form, and it is, along with us, a being of light. Okay? I'm just throwing it out there.